18th century wooden drawers. So I have more.
Wow.
I have alchemized my whole desk area,
My goodness.
and I've put the screen behind me so I can feel like I'm enclosed and concentrated and focused, because
Yeah,
I'm building my career this year.
you are. I
With
mean,
the-
Never looked back.
You got hair extensions? Holy shit, that's kind of awesome.
Yeah, I love them.
All right, so I believe get the view, speaker view, gallery view. Let's go ahead and get started, Susan. I'll just let people come in as they come along.
okay.
So thank you so very much for joining. Hey, Don. Thank you so much very much for joining. I am really excited to introduce one of my favorite people and my productivity coach, Susan Tollefson from Inside Out Systems. And I want you to know it's because of Susan that I know that we're going to be off the chat by 12 noon.
Just because I'm sitting here.
Well, you know, it's one of the things that I'm working on, and I get so excited about talking to people that that I try and squeeze in too much. So those days are numbered. Right? Leave them wanting more. All right, Susan. So let's talk about goals. So the thing is that Susan and I were we connected through a coaching program. What I found out is that I get easily overwhelmed because I'm always out here in the ethers and in the ideal land and having a great time talking about it, and I couldn't get anything done. So Susan is basically the person who says, that's a lot, and it helps me reprioritize and find out what's really important and what's important now. So Susan, let's talk about goals. And we had this great conversation about goals. So I asked her to come on and get us going for 2021.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, goals. I don't know how many of you are business people, like Santana
And me.
and Cynthia and myself. But goals, you know, they're a good way of kind of organizing yourself, your thoughts, your priorities, you know, for your business, but also in your everyday life. You know, if you don't have a direction, you know, or idea of where you want to go, you know, this helps clarify that, and it helps, you know, create a path for you to get there. So it's actually quite exciting. But when I talk about goals a lot, the first reaction I get is, I'm so anxious about that, or I've tried that. Santana is like you're actually the person that brought that to my attention. And so I wanted to like change my approach around it and acknowledge that it's an anxious thing for a lot of people. It makes them feel very anxious and uncomfortable. So I'm acknowledging that, and you know, the reasons are varied. You might have tried it before, and you know, it didn't work out so well, so you kind of gave up, or you haven't done it before, or you've done it, and then somewhere along the line, like a lot of times you start goals in January, and then by February they're kind of like out of your mind and kind of gone, because there's no way, you know, you haven't written them down or made a little plan around them, you know, which is, you have to write them down. That's, you know, number one. So the reason I start with sales goals in business is because they're very measurable, they're very specific, and easy to track.
Can I just add something to that?
Yeah.
You don't have to be in business to have these numbers goals.
No, you don't.
You know what? I just want to remind people. So if you're looking to buy a home, buy a car, raise your credit, lose weight, anything that has to do with numbers. So it doesn't have to be a financial, but the thing about numbers is that's what makes it so it's measurable, right?
Yes.
it's great for business people because we love talking money, but just know it is for everything.
Yeah, that's a really good point because they have to be, there's this metric out there called SMART goals, SMART, which is specific and measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. So those are the ways to measure if the goal that you have set for yourself is actually specific enough and measurable so that you know that you achieve it when you get there. So again, numbers, like losing weight, the examples that you used with your finances, maybe paying down debt or, credit cards, those types of things they're very specific, so they're easy to measure. Can I ask the group if anybody has set sales goals in the past or ever? No?
Oh, I have in the past,
Yeah, but you and I have recently.
and we have recently. Yeah. Yes, we have. How about anybody else? Or, yeah, what kind of goals do you have? Oh, and just to remind you, this is called Chill and Chat, which means that we get to ask anything of the expert, including her age and weight.
No.
Just kidding.
That's specific and measurable.
But to be honest, so please feel free to
Yeah, please.
chime in. That's really good.
Okay, so here's my thing. I'm going to chime in because it's no secret. Susan knows I have the worst time making goals. I don't like making them. I think of them as a setup for failure. And I
Yes.
know that that's mine. Okay, I know that that's mine. If I don't set a goal and I happen to not attain it, I'm no longer disappointed. So if something comes, I'm cool. It's not as effective as I'm probably needing. So my ask of you, Susan, is a tough one, or maybe not tough for you because you live this. How do you overcome that feeling of being set up for failure?
You know what? That is a really good question. And actually, one of the reasons why people get anxious and why, it is a daunting task for some people. But I think, so for me, even though I'm a systems type person and oriented towards this, I did not do it myself in the past for that exact reason. Like when I didn't get there, I was just like, forget it, because it makes you feel bad, right? So I've changed my mindset around it in that it's a helpful tool for me to have. Okay, I want to make $20,000 this month or whatever it is, and these are these are the ways I'm going to do that. So it gives you a goal, and it also gives you the opportunity to write down what I'm going to do. I'm going to make maybe a lot of phone calls, or do some email blasts, or do some Facebook ads, or those types of things. But you also have to be aware. This is another good exercise to be aware of. Am I capable of earning $20,000, either because I know I've done it before, or because my offerings are enough? Like if I only have one package and it costs $5,000, then I'd have to, sell a number of those. So if my goal was 10, I'd only have to just sell 2. So it also forces you to write down what your offerings are, even though a lot of us know what they are in our heads. But it's good to sit down and do the math around it. What's possible and what actions I'm going to take, and that's just kind of a simple tool that you can use to gauge that even if it's possible. So I've changed my mindset around. It's not me that's doing the wrong things. It's me adjusting, or you have to take the judgment out of it. Yeah. That it's not about me being a terrible person. or, a failure,
Right.
right?
You know, what's interesting is through your response to me, you just helped me see that sometimes when I know I have some tasks that I have to take care of, I make a list and that's how I sleep. If I don't make this list for the next morning,
Mhm.
I'm going to toss and turn. And then I'm fully panicked the next morning as to, oh God, I'm really late. I missed a couple hours to get my shit done. So, oh, I think this is how you've affected me, maybe. What do you think?
Yes, I love that. Look at that nice list.
Right. So now, I mean, now I can expand and make it longer than tomorrow,
Yeah, and you have to start somewhere.
Thank
And a lot of us don't use, because another thing I teach is around the calendar, as Cynthia well knows, around how to use the calendar and how to, manage your time that way. But no matter how you do it, like you just showed me the list, maybe it's for today.
Yeah.
That's a great start. And that is better than trying to keep it in your head and not remembering, cluttering up your mind, actually. So it's good to write those things down and get them out of your head.
Well, thank you. And my little exercise of the daily, it's not every day, but on the daily, at the end, when I get to check them off, it is my joy because it's a
Yes.
feeling of accomplishment. Yeah.
Here's
So-
what happened. Yeah. So here's what happened with me and the list that you do, Santana, is because I'm doing the daily, it doesn't help me see if I'm getting into the big goals, if I'm building into the big goals. And so what Susan had me do was this crazy flow chart. And I, like what goes, so what's going on? Because me, I'm like the queen of one off, hey. Right? First date, good. Second date, third date, that's a relationship. So, but what happened is that by taking a look, it was easy to actually streamline what was going on, like what do I want to offer, and what was really serving me as well as the people I want to serve. And it's really helpful. And so I still get overwhelmed, but the overwhelm actually feels a little bit different. So it's like, holy shit, I'm doing stuff and it's not getting to that place. Right. So that's the thing that I loved about the flow chart and having Susan as a coach. Like, I'll show you.
Yeah. Show us your flow chart.
Ooh.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's too much stuff.
Well, Cynthia, she has a lot of offerings. So it could be, I offer this one thing and then these are the things I'm going to do. If you take it one at a time, because she showed everything at once. But
So I have a question for you, Susan, in regards to organization, since, I'm sorry, my mind I can't speak. My mind is wheeling and I do have a question. So to keep organized in my day and all the little tasks, and let's say next Tuesday at 2, Thursday at 1, blah, blah, blah. So I need a calendar. So I did old school because when I was in corporate, I had a nice big calendar on my desk and I
Yes.
wrote it in and it was beautiful because
Yeah.
then I never made a plan until I was in my office. Well, now we have phones, right?
Yeah.
And what I'm finding is if I'm at my desk, it'll go on my calendar because I like it that way. If I'm out and about, which is not so much during COVID, but if I'm out and about, and they're like, well, what does your next Friday look like? I have no clue. I put it in my phone, and then I'm putting it into Who Places, so I don't put it in at all. And therefore, this comes up on the daily if I have more than a couple to do. Do you have any idea? I mean, I guess I just have to choose and stick to it. And do you think there's one that's better than the other?
So let me understand what you're saying. So you're saying that you write things down manually is it a big calendar?
Usually, yes.
Usually, okay. And then you have your phone and
Yes.
it doesn't have the same things.
Well, it does, but if I'm not at home
Yeah.
to put it on my calendar and I'm
Right.
outside, they're like, well, what does Tuesday look like? I have no clue,
Yeah.
right? And so I can say, let me get back to you, but I was wondering if there's something more efficient.
Yeah. So let me tell you what I do, because I'm old school too. I like writing things down.
Yeah.
So when I write things down, I write things on my to-do list. Or the famous do not forget list. I don't know if you remember that? The do not forget list?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so the do not forget list is if you've got a to-do list like most of us that's super long and you just keep adding things to it and it just never goes down. I moved, I'd say a good 60 to 70% of the stuff that I realized I was not doing, and I just didn't want to forget about it. And so at one point they're important enough to write down, but they're not urgent. So I just put them on a do not forget list, and I just keep my most important things, because the list is much shorter. It actually it's a good thing. So a lot of people get excited about the do not forget list. But anyway, so I write things down on the list. But when I make appointments, and I do put things on my calendar to do, like I put like the top 3 things I'm going to do that day in my calendar, and I put it on my, if you've got most people have a Google Calendar, like an electronic Google Calendar. I put it there, and then it syncs with your phone. So that's how I do it. So that
Okay.
your electronic calendar, it's portable when you bring your phone.
That's Google Calendar?
Yeah, you can, or I have Outlook.
I'll look
But
into
the thing is to work with you can do a hybrid of writing things down, but then when you actually plan your calendar, you plan it on your electronic calendar, not your paper calendar.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Even though you can use your paper calendars too, but it's just more work that way. That make sense?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions? Go ahead, Rocky.
I
I'm
do.
glad you're asking questions.
Okay, so Susan, I'm a person who procrastinates quite a lot. Like, for example, my taxes that I'm supposed to do.
Uh-huh.
And then do you have any practice for working with clients who always procrastinate?
Yeah. First, I want to say everyone procrastinates to some one degree or another. So I've got a couple things to say about that. The first thing is because I use my calendar to tell me, what I'm supposed to do. That's how I plan my day and stuff. If I get to something and I don't feel like doing it, that's procrastination. And that happens a lot. And it's usually because, it's too big. Like taxes could be a big thing. It's an overwhelming thing to think about. So a lot of times you get overwhelmed just because, you dread it. It's not fun. So you can break it down into like, what's one step I'm going to take to do my taxes? So what would that be in your case?
In my case, I am supposed to respond to a notice that has a deadline of about a week ago. And
a week ago.
Yeah, I was like, oh, it's fine. It can take another day, and then another day, and I'm finally gonna do it because it's Friday. So I was like, I'm gonna feel terrible if it lingers over a weekend.
So one idea is to break it down into small pieces. So you just do a little at a time. So if you think about breaking that down, in terms of taxes, it might be getting receipts, or if you're a business person, it might be getting your receipts in order or something like that. But it's no one likes to do that. So I just want to acknowledge no one likes to do that. So you can break it down. And then the other thing you can do is set a timer for 10 minutes. Start doing whatever it is that, you said you were going to do. But you give yourself permission to stop after 10 minutes. And most of the time you just keep going just because you're into whatever it is that you're doing. So it's like a mind trick.
Yeah.
To say I can stop if I want to. And, there's no judgment around it. I think it's important to realize that most people procrastinate, one degree or another. And pretty much everyone I know procrastinates on stuff they don't like or they don't want to do, right? So that's mostly everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
The thing that I like about the 10-minute method that Susan's talking about is that 10 minutes, even if you stare at your seat for 10 minutes, because you're not doing anything else, it's actually a success. And that's the part I love, because you're like, yeah, you know what I mean? Really, really nice. And then you can actually work your way up to 15 minutes.
Right, exactly. Right, that's a really good point. You also take into consideration the time of day that you have the most mental energy or whatever kind of energy you need. For me, it's always first thing in the morning. I dread the stuff I don't want to do. I just kind of get it out of the way. You know, I might not get all of it done, but I'll work on it for a little while. A lot of times, if you try to do it, you know, in the afternoon or in the evening, it's, you know, unless it's a deadline or something, most of the time your mental energy is just not sufficient to do something that you don't like anyway.
If I may, I'd like to offer another perspective, and that is, Rocky, if you have a ton of receipts to go through, be happy you have a ton of receipts to go through. Get me?
That's a good point.
Definitely. It's hard to stay organized.
I know it is. It is, you know, but you're not by yourself. And, you know, when I work with people, Cynthia, for example, you know, we take into consideration the current habits that she's got already that are good, that work for her. And we don't try to throw in a bunch of new ones, because it's hard to change a habit, as we know. So you just want to try a little bit at a time. Like the 10-minute rule, I think is a good, I call the 10-minute rule the procrastination thing. It's a good way to get started, because it's something little, you know, that you can build upon and, you know, make a habit out of it. Like Cynthia was saying, do it longer periods of time over a period of time. You just maybe go longer, 10, 15, 20 minute increments.
It's good.
Susan, you just gave me something, and if I may give it back to you, you're the organization muscle.
Oh,
Oh,
I like that.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
That has never been said to me before.
I like that, because it's got that thing of calm going on, right?
Right?
I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. Does anybody else have any questions about the goals that they're having a challenge achieving or don't know how to get started? Because if you don't, I just want to offer up that when I first met Susan, I said, I just need to get to 9 a.m. Meaning, like, brush my teeth, wash my face. I still don't wash my face, but brush my teeth. Put on pants, you know, and sit down and be ready by a certain time. And that's really that's the truth, because I wanted to do all these things and I crowded it too much into the morning, which made my day already feel like a failure by 9 a.m.
Right.
There are a lot of ways to think about goals, and, you know, 2021 is all about huge changes, and I am wishing huge success for everyone. And Susan can get you there. She can, and if you're not into it, she can at least get you started. So, right. So, anybody have any questions about goals?
I have a question. I think, I don't know if we'll get to this or if it's a planned topic for today, but just kind of the description that you put, Cynthia, in the meetup, I think, about Susan, that she was like I forget what it was, like a consultant for getting to the root cause of problems or something like that. That was what really, do I have that right, first of all? Or am I making that up? Is that the wrong?
Is that on your description, Susan?
I don't think so.
Oh, am I making that up?
Even though but a lot of the conversations we have, like when I just brought up the point about working with what you've got already, that works in that work, you know, that whatever you're doing, the habit around those, we work with that first because that's been working for you. You know, so depending on what the productivity and organization is a big topic. So there's definitely, goals is one of the pieces of it. and maybe paper organization, or time organization, is another piece. So those types of things, I mean, we all have root causes in our habits, so we have to be aware of what those are. And if you want something different, you have to do something different. Phrase comes to mind,
Yeah.
with building new habits. So my point is building habits small, kind of one step at a time is way more effective than trying to change, because I can tell people what to do all day long. But, if it's not your style, it doesn't work for most people to have a blanket type answer, for things.
Right.
So, because everybody's different, everybody has their different style.
Right. Yeah, sorry. I guess my brain understood it as the root cause, and then how it read was you specialize in identifying inefficiencies in a business that cost you time and money and hold you back from realizing your full potential. And I think, I don't know how my brain took it there, but I really liked that because like for me, it's like identifying the how of things. I can get to writing goals and I can get to identifying them, but the how of actually fitting it into, or not fitting it in, but just really making them happen.
Yeah.
In combination with like the daily hijacks that we all get, right? The
I
things
know.
that come at you that aren't really planned.
Yes.
And then, just kind of dealing with we all have our things, right? Like for me right now, it's insomnia. So
yeah.
Brushing my teeth by 9 a.m. is not a realistic goal for me. I'm just going to be honest. Like that's not going to happen right now. So, because I'm falling asleep at 4 and 5.
Yeah.
And I consider that a daily hijack. And so it's the how of like, how do I either work around that problem because I don't know how to solve that right now, or how do I solve that problem using techniques that I haven't already tried, which of course are all the like normal stuff like calling the doctor, taking NyQuil, like whatever, and those are I guess that's for me. I feel like, and Cynthia and I worked together a little bit before, and I think this is probably sounding familiar to her in a way because I maybe do have a limiting belief around when I set goals that they get hijacked. Like when I set them, when I do set out to do something that it's something's going to come in and make that really hard or impossible. And so that's something I am actively trying to work on as well, the belief about it.
Yeah, I know. I think we all are. I know I am. I mean, we all have our blind spots and our challenges, and nobody's perfect, and you work with what you have, because I understand and so relate to the insomnia thing because I have the same thing. And my days, aren't predictable that way. And plus it causes me anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard for me, to plan a set time to do, like to start work.
Right. Yeah.
So sometimes I just have my mornings open, and I don't have pressure around myself about that. But to the best of my ability with my situation, I use the techniques that work for me, which is planning, on the calendar to do, certain things at certain times. And it just helps me stay focused and on track, and it gives me something to look at, something to follow, so I don't get lose my focus, fuzzy in the head is what I call it. Yeah, it's just a guideline for me.
Can I add to that too for you? It's Erin that's asking the question, right, Erin?
Yeah.
So I will take it to the woo place, right?
Yeah, let's go woo.
So here's where we go. Whenever someone comes to me for a reading, they ask for big questions, and then we talk about practical ways to go about getting to that spiritual connection. I actually believe having a productivity coach is a very spiritual thing, because what's happening is that as you take these, because you have this big conceptual goal, it's just like a rating. So it could be, for you, could be sleep, right? 8 hours of sleep. Wouldn't that be amazing? 8 hours of undisturbed sleep. So, so what happens is that by doing these small daily practices, it's an uncovering. So sometimes we're not used to, not that we're not used to, we're not prepared for the truth. The truth for me to say in front of everybody is like, I'm afraid I have imposter syndrome. I believe I am the greatest reader around until I see someone else give a really good reading. And then I'm like, fuck, I'm screwed. I suck. And so that's imposter syndrome, right? That has nothing to do with anybody else but a belief system. But by doing all these things, by doing these small things and having these small successes, it's helping build my confidence. And by having a little bit of a routine, because I am just starting, I'm actually able to relax in a certain way because I have touchstones. And so, so in that way, Susan really does get to the essence without going to that place of, you have imposter syndrome. It's like what she said. She said to me when I showed her my flow chart, she said, that's a lot of stuff. It's just a lot of stuff. And I thought, holy crap, why do I have so much stuff? And then I got to do a piece of spiritual work based on that practical bit. So does that help out at all by, explaining it that way?
Yeah. Yeah, I think, I don't know, I feel like it does. And I'm trying to Cynthia knows this. It takes me a while to translate the thoughts to English, human English.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you.
But because I think everybody knows exactly where you are. I don't believe there's anybody here who hasn't had a sleepless night and sits in overwhelm. So, and so it's the little stuff. There's a bunch of books that were out, I think in the 80s, which was Chop Wood, Carry Water, as well as Enlightenment and Then the Laundry, I think is what it's called. And that's exactly how this goes. It's like you have this pow, and then you got to do all this crappy, I call it crappy, but then you got to do the mundane stuff so that you can get another pow and then do more mundane stuff. That is actually spiritual work, and that's how it is in martial arts. You get your black belt, then you got to go back and learn how to stand properly. I mean, and and what is service. And so it's like uncovering again and again and again and again. So
That's a really good point.
yeah. Yeah. And Susan's an expert at that. I'm telling you, she's kind about it.
I think we also have expectations put on ourselves from wherever that, I'm always expecting I'm supposed to do more than I'm doing, or I'm supposed to achieve more than I'm achieving. And that I found out it's like a broken record. One of my therapists calls it the crazy lady at the door is knocking again. She's trying to lie to you, about, so it's these automatic things that you're unconscious around. You put expectations on yourself, and then you feel bad automatically. And sometimes you don't even recognize that's happening because it's kind of unconscious until you kind of, Cynthia, you're probably familiar with this. You kind of sit still and listen to what's going on.
Yeah.
Or whoever's talking, the crazy lady, or in my case, or somebody else. So it helps you. And again, I feel like that's spiritual work too. Personal development type stuff that, we're always growing. And I've come to accept that I'm never going to get there because there is no there. You know what I mean? There's just.
That's another book, just in case.
Yeah. So, I try, and this is one of my continuing challenges. So I try to dial it back, with you're okay where you are, you're supposed to be where you are, because that's where you are, so I try not to get too far ahead of myself because it just, makes me anxious and doesn't make me feel good about myself.
Yeah, well, you can play more like me, and I have to grow up because I turn everything into a game. It is talking to people, interacting, thinking, everything's a game. And I'll give you an example. I'm sitting here going, okay, really, Santana, this is the bane of your existence. Get it, work it, feel it, you know. But all you guys are talking, and I'm just going with games, right? Like the Ohm, I really liked it. It was a game.
It was good.
And Cynthia, I'm going to tell you, I'm stuck on you because you're learning from Susan about your morning ritual, right? And you can brush your teeth, but you can't wash your face. Well, what I want to tell you is a damn game, sister, right? Water is healing. We know this. You're supposed to start your morning with a ritual. That is my favorite part of the morning outside of my coffee.
That's my
Because-
ritual. That's the ritual. My ritual is my coffee, and then everything kind of goes to shit after that. So
Right. Yeah, but if you go through the
Same.
ritual
Same,
of
same, same.
the intense of water going on your face for the cleansing, water in the face for cleansing,
yeah, no, I
right?
take-
That's your first easy thing. And then my coffee. That's where I'm at because I'm all about ease.
Mhm.
I'm not lazy, I'm efficient. Okay.
yeah.
So-
You are.
Don't mix that one up.
No.
But everything's a game, is my point.
And I think it's a good. I think it's a really good thing to put play into it, right?
Yeah.
It's that supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Is that not that song, right? Spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. So
Yes.
but right. So you because there's an element of joy and there's an element of innocence in there. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You know, our tasks and productivity doesn't have to be a burden, and it doesn't have to be, you know, so heavy. So
Yeah. I mean, the topic in itself sounds very intimidating
yeah,
to some people because, you know, there's structure and, oh, I don't like that. You know, I don't like structure. Certain people say, Santana, but you know, I'm teasing you. But you know, you don't have to make it. Yeah, you don't have to make it about that. You know, I think Cynthia, you've put it in a frame of reference for yourself that it's helpful to get, you know, get you focused, get you where you want to go, and it's not like a structured type burden.
right,
You know,
right.
because if you think of it as a burden, it's not. You're not gonna think. You know, think to. You're not gonna want to do it.
No,
You know, and again, you don't have to do everything at once. All these things we're talking about. You do like Santana, I believe that the last time we met, I don't know that you had a to-do list that you just showed me.
it's
You
true.
know? So that's a little thing.
Snacks for Santana.
Yeah, right. And your desk is very impressive.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm very happy about that. But now it's overwhelming. It's an adult desk and I have to do adult things with it.
How
No, you don't.
can you make that a game? Think about that.
I got colored pens.
Yeah.
I've got crayons. They're on my desk.
Okay.
Oh, look, this is on my desk,
Ah,
right?
is that
Yeah.
a dispenser?
It
Is
is.
there candy in there?
Otherwise, I wouldn't be working at all. I'm trying to use it as a Pavlovian thing, you know, where I work and then I, you know, but I'm too smart. I've got the opposing thumb, so I can before I do my task. So, yeah. But yeah, so I want people to understand that this is actually a really, the thing that I love about Susan and working with her is what I have learned about myself. What had happened is I want to be I would like to be an intuitive coach for businesses so that people will use their intuition as a tool, you know, as a go-to tool. And it's intimidating when I think about it because most people who do intuitive work, they don't think about business. It's all very much on a personal level, and they don't keep good house when it comes to their business. So I'm fighting a lot of old thoughts that don't work, right? And you know, and if they haven't worked before, well, it's what I want, so I got to make it work. And so, yeah, if anybody has any questions about something that's not working, this is the time to ask Susan. I love that Rocky asked about his taxes. I don't know how you can make your taxes a game, but I will tell you, I just got into QuickBooks and it's so easy that it almost feels like a game. And then every time that I put something under meals and entertainment and it wasn't, I feel like I'm getting over on somebody. That's a game. So I mean, there's different ways to get to stuff. You know,
I can share a couple things that I do. Now, I don't have a ton of receipts, Rocky, but I have my little white envelopes that you get at the dollar store, and you put January 2020,
Yep.
and you have that, right? Only January receipts. I can handle 28 to 31 days, right? But I've taken an extra step, and my receipts, wherever they are in January, just behind in that envelope. That goes away. Next one. I don't know if you already do this, and forgive me if you do, but that is a game. That's a simple game of little envelopes, and then you put one behind one. Just remember that little thing. So then when it comes to taxes and my receipts, guess what? I have it out month and somewhat organized by date. Bam.
Yeah.
Enough to where my tax lady's like, where are your receipts? So praise you. She hasn't asked for my receipts yet, but
I can share.
Yeah, so that's a simple thing to do, and doesn't take any time. Yeah, you know, there's the
psychologically,
what?
Psychologically, it helps me too, because when I get receipts, they like make me do this, right? Now I have a place for them. Now I know what to do with them. So even if I have a ton of receipts, which I don't, but back in corporate I did, I put it in a little bowl, but I don't let more than a week or two go. Because if you give me a pile, I'm not going to do it. Just not going to do it.
Right. I think I was going to say that I know bookkeepers that people bring them paper bags full of receipts. So you could have someone else do it for you.
I will let you know, in a previous life, I was one of those people.
That is a choice.
But I actually was the middleman that I would go through all the receipts and separate them all out for those people, for the small business people who just couldn't do it. You know, I love.
Yeah, so you do have the choice to have someone else do it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, or actually, you know, get somebody to help you. Like, you know, come in and friend for an hour and help you, sort your stuff. Or because I used to be a professional organizer before my corporate. I had a corporate job, then I was a professional organizer. And there's a lot of people out there that, just need help organizing their space, and there's nothing wrong with asking for help around that, and not having shame around it. And I think talking about this stuff, it helps, other people have this too. Right?
What's funny is that usually when someone asks you to do that, then it gives you permission to fess up about something that you need help with, which could be your receipts, your cabinets, your laundry, could be anything.
Something.
Yeah. So
yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I do have, I put this in the chat several times, my, a resource for people that's free. It's my ebook, 5 Keys to Conquer Overwhelm. And so there's all kinds of tips in there. Procrastination's in there. How to set goals is in there. Just, tips about, organization. So, you might pick up a tip or two there, and it's free. So that you can, the password is there. Make sure to copy the chat. So make sure you have that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I have one thing that I want to share regarding like seeking help. So it's really kind of like identifying what like nobody else can help you besides yourself. And then maybe there are certain portions where we can actually, I don't know, delegate. But basically having that, breaking that down mentally kind of helps me as well. So it's really kind of like what you said earlier about breaking it down into small parts. And but there are always certain things that I think we have to identify that nobody can probably understand. For example, receipts, right? We probably have to have the receipts before somebody can actually help you.
Right. Yeah, and
So
that's
having
the
that,
responsibilities, if you've got a business that unfortunately that is a responsibility. That's, you have to keep records.
Yeah.
You
and
know,
that's that.
we're all out to help people when we have a business. We just want to help people.
Yeah, for me, it's actually always kind of like a mental burden more than the actual task itself. The actual task itself is actually trivial, but when it adds up, it's just kind of like this big ball of thing in your like clutter in your head that it's just always seems a lot bigger than it actually is.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. You kind of carry it around with you all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It does take up a lot of mental space.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's why that whole relaxation thing is right. Gets a couple things done, and all of a sudden your shoulders drop,
Mhm.
and it's you can you can spend more money and get a massage, or you can do that one thing and your shoulders drop, and you breathe better. So breathing is always a good thing. For my
I like what Santana was saying about before you go to bed, you have to write all this stuff down, or else you get tense around it.
Yeah.
Creates all this negative energy.
It does.
So doing that one thing will helps empty your brain so you can relax.
Yeah. And a funky fun fact is, if you write it down, it is a funky fun fact. If you write it down, you can actually have dreams about it. And in the dreams, there's, whether it's direct or indirect, there's usually a solution. So,
Really?
well, if you think about it, it's one of those weird things where you have a weird dream and then you wake up and then there's an answer. So it's one of those things where as you're sleeping, it gets untangled for you. Or at least you get to go into a different direction.
Yeah.
It's all that relaxation, right?
Oh, okay.
Confusion. Yeah, that's not a woo thing, I promise you. It's just an untangling. All right. Any other questions? Any questions at all? No?
No?
So Susan also does seminars. So you have her book which is awesome, her ebook. What do you got going on? What's coming up for you?
So I've got a free class that I'm doing that's an hour. It's called Create Your Schedule for Success. You can drop your email in the chat if you're interested in the next one. So that's free. And then I've got an accountability group starting where we meet weekly and we talk about what your goals are and what you intend to do that week. And then, we kind of keep a running record of, the things that you commit to doing. So I facilitate that, and there's, guidance and, support around your goals and things like that also that you would get.
When's your accountability group starting?
February. I have to look at my calendar. I think it's around the 7th or something.
Yeah.
But again, if you drop your email in the chat, I'll make sure to put you on my list and give you information.
If you haven't done an accountability group, it's a pretty amazing thing. You want to, it's a really fast way to create community, and it's probably the simplest way for you to figure out that you need help and that you have permission to ask for help, and you're actually an expert at something where you can help someone else. And accountability rocks. And then you meet
Accountability partner.
Yeah.
Is also another solution.
Yeah. Just so you know, I have 2, and then I have Susan. So, and I'm
You
looking
have 2 what?
2 accountability partners. So,
Oh, okay. I knew that.
yeah, one for marketing and reach outs, and one for the stuff that you don't like, Rocky, which is the admin stuff. So one day we sat down, we turned on some music on Zoom, and we cleaned our desk. We just cleaned our desk and we went through receipts, and we had to do before and after pictures because that's part of your accountability. So yeah, it was great.
It really, if you're accountable to yourself, it's usually not as effective as if you're accountable to someone else.
It's true.
So
But
I think that there's around 40% of the time, if you're accountable to yourself, that you actually do go follow through. 40% is not that bad. But then if you've got a accountability, some form of accountability, it shoots up to 85% or so. So it like doubles your chances of accomplishing what it is that you want to accomplish.
here's the best thing about accountability. People call you on your bullshit. And that's the truth. And they do it with love. They're like, hey, you said you're going to do this. What's happening?
In a nice way,
Don't be in my group.
supportive way.
But yeah, so they do. They call you on your stuff. And that's the beauty of accountability. Because they don't really need to know your whole story. They just want to say, okay, what's on your docket, and how are you going to get there?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be very long either.
Yep.
15 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Check in what you agree to do for the next week and what you've done the past week, and what's an obstacle that got in your way that we can work on getting rid of, or make it so it's not that big. If you talk about things, they tend to be not that big as they are. I think, Rocky, you're the one that said that.
Yeah.
When you talk about things that they turn out they're not as big as you think that they are.
So Susan, I do have an extra one. Can you share a little bit about your, like you said, you're a professional organizer, and then you also have something about inefficiencies. And can you share a little bit about your work in that area, how it ties to like goal setting and other,
My work in
like professional organization?
Yeah, well, I was a professional organizer back in 2006 through 2008. So I used to go into people's home offices mostly and set up systems for them. Then I got an opportunity to go to a 2-year MBA type program that allowed me to, finish my education around business development and coaching. And then I realized that that's what I love to do.
Got it.
I see the bigger picture for people in their business, not just their systems.
I see.
Yeah. So my focus now is on, I do work with a lot of solopreneurs like Cynthia
Got it.
that, want some, direction, idea about direction. Also freeing up your time is a big one if you work by yourself. So, I help people streamline things, put better systems in place, help them with their time management, things like that. And goals is part of that. Goals and planning is part of that process.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
How much for a session with you?
Good question.
Thank you.
We can talk about that if you reach out to me. Because I have more like packages and I don't really do hourly thing.
Oh, okay.
But, when I talk to you and I know what your situation is, I can give you a better idea of what that would be.
Got it. Thank you.
The cool thing about packages is that you get to see something from beginning to end. So Susan, yeah, I know. Susan I'm famous for doing like, what was it that I was supposed to be focusing on? And then she goes back and she helps me write my ship. Right. So, and so that's why packages are pretty awesome. And in the beginning, there's a nice amount of time to identify what it is that you want to work on or what seems like the appropriate thing to work on. So, yeah.
Cool. Well, we'll follow up on that will be like what time scale and frequency would you recommend to seek out like a progress, or differs from people to?
Yeah, well, the package that Cynthia is doing with me is the thing she referenced. We start out with an hour of just a scope, what we're going to cover, what you want to accomplish. And hers is a 6-week package.
I see.
So we meet every week after that for 30 minutes and we check in on her progress. So that's an example of like a basic type program
Got it.
that I offer. That's one of the basic ones.
I've purchased multiple 6-week packages.
Oh.
Yes, she has.
I started, I just need to get up. I just need to get up and out of bed.
Oh, it's how good Susan is.
Exactly. I am not an easy client.
You're a joy.
So-
Yeah,
You are.
Cynthia, I don't want to compete with you. I'm sorry, but you know, that title, we're like,
My friend, neck and neck. All right, well, listen, I want to thank you so much, Susan, for all your information and, you know, really getting down into the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
Just want to let everybody else know that I'm going to be doing an inner vision boarding class in February, which would actually go really well with the goal setting, just in case you're wondering. So, oh my God, look at it's baby Tay.
Oh,
Hi, baby. So I
Cute.
hope that I hope you all got some great information. Please, please, please go and check out Susan's site and her book. And I'm so lonely. I don't have my loved one here. Hi, Tay. I got you said
oh,
you need a hug.
cute. Look at everybody's dogs.
I know, dogs, babies.
Oh, so cute.
Yeah, I love it. All right. So did everybody have a chance to copy Susan's stuff and get her information? All right, excellent. I will catch you all next week where we talk about chill and chat energy, everything energy. So it's about momentum for this year.
Thank you so much, Cynthia, for having me. And thank you everyone for coming. It was really nice to meet everyone.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank
Cynthia.
you.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. All right. See you, everybody.